So there's a really frightening path that the music industry and the gig market is on right now. And you as a musician are vulnerable to it and likely are going to be affected by it. So I'm here to tell you about it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. So fact one, the industry hasn't had any significant pay increases for musicians who play in places like bars and clubs and restaurants and other venues literally since the 80s. I know you've seen or heard of musicians that are old enough to have been playing in those times talk about how the pay hasn't increased in the past 25 to 30 years. Fact two, there's hardly any band loyalty these days, meaning musicians these days are not really committed to any one band or group, and a lot of them are playing for multiple groups and bands at the same time. And this not only makes it more difficult to come together and get any sort of consistency, but it also makes it harder to have any sort of dedication or work ethic or aspiration as a group, which are things that are needed for success. Fact three, the industry has become flooded with more and more musicians over the past several years, with a lot of startup bands and amateur musicians entering the space. And this is not to disparage any musicians that are just starting out or are at that beginning level. As I always say, there's enough room for us in all of this space. But this just means that there are a lot more musicians competing for the same gigs. And to top it off, the startup bands are much more willing to pay for lesser pay just to get started, and that sort of undercuts the market a little bit. Fact four, the pandemic closed down a lot of venues and affected others such that they can't even afford live music and live bands anymore. And some that have gone back to having live music don't have the money anymore because they don't have the same clientele that they had before the pandemic, so they've sort of cut the pay for live music, so bands are getting paid less in those venues. And this just means less money for musicians overall. Fact five, as crazy as it sounds, there are still venues who still want you to have a following before they allow you to play there. And some of these places even want you to promote the events that they hire you to play for by passing out flyers and posting on social media and even selling tickets. It's just a really crazy terrain out there for musicians these days. So what does all of this mean for you? Well, it means that the landscape is set for you to not really get any better quality gigs than you've been doing right now, not really making any more money than you're making right now from gigs, and even worse, it's set up for you to go like another 25 to 30 years, just like the people from the 80s are talking about now, for you to go another 25 to 30 years not really even making any improvements or success in those areas. Not being able to afford to buy the equipment you want, not from the money you make from gigs, not really being able to travel and tour and become known for your talent. And it's basically just set up for you to be the typical struggling musician. It's still going to be very hard to link up with dedicated musicians, get clubs and bars and venues to pay you more, and find high quality gigs all for the foreseeable future. But the good news is that none of this really has to affect you in any significant way. In fact, you can thrive as a musician in this messy terrain of an industry we're in. It's still very possible for you to tour and travel and make lots of money and even go full time as a musician. You're simply just going to have to do some things and put in the work. I mean, you're going to have to start making more phone calls. You're going to have to spend time on your set list and on your music. And most of all, you're going to have to spend time acquiring the skills needed to be successful. I'll let you in on a super secret formula that people who make lots of money knows and uses. And I mean everyone from Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos to Bill Gates to Warren Buffett. All of them know and use this formula. The formula is this: money comes from mastery of the right skills and the habit of doing those skills daily or regularly. And mastery of the right skills comes from the motivation to learn the right skills and turn them into habits. And the motivation comes from your mindset and your understanding of how the system works. And your mindset comes from your inner circle of people who are successful or are more successful than you with money. That's the secret formula. Rewind this and listen to that again. And this is one of the reasons why we created Musician's Inner Circle. And just a quick shameless plug here, but this is the type of work that we do inside of Musician's Inner Circle. We learn the right skills for success as a musician, artist, or band. We motivate and explain how the system works so you're equipped with the right knowledge. And we work on these things regularly so that we master the skill of money making. And right now, Musician's Inner Circle is open for registration for a very limited time. And to get more information about it, just click the link in the description of this video. So what this all comes to is that you have a choice to make. You can either play at the level of the stage that has been set, no pun intended, and continue to struggle as an artist, musician, or band, or you can put in the work and rise above that stage, that messy terrain, and become a lot more. It's absolutely possible for you to make the money that you want to make just from your musical skills alone. I've watched people's journey on that path and get to success, and I see people thriving in it every day. So the choice is yours. But for now, here are some other videos that you may want to check out that will help you on this process.